Okay, guys, so we're going to be taking a look at Steemit in this video, just from a little bit of an economic perspective, and hopefully I'll have some time in there to address some of the Ponzi scheme allegations. So the first thing I want to clarify is the difference between Steemit, right? That IT on the end is very important, and Steem, right? Steem over here. So these are not the same thing. Steem is what we call a cryptocurrency. It's like Bitcoin, if you know what that is. But if you don't know what that is, just think of Steem as another currency, right? So it's like the US dollar, it's like the pound, it's like the Australian dollar, it's like the euro, but it doesn't belong to a government. Instead, it belongs to Steemit. And Steemit is a platform. It's like YouTube. But the difference is that on YouTube, you get paid for uploading. On Steemit, you get paid for uploading as well. But on Steemit, you also get paid for upvoting and for commenting. So we're going to check out Steemit now. This is Steemit here. David Pakman, he's uploaded a video and he's been paid almost $500 for this video because he got a lot of upvotes. Now, he hasn't been paid literally in US dollars. He's been paid in Steem. But you can just exchange Steem for US dollars. So essentially, he's been paid in US dollars. Here's a comment. This guy's made $11 off his comment because some people upvoted it and he got some money. Not that many people upvoted it, so this guy only got $1, and even less people upvoted this one, so he only got 30 cents. So the more upvotes you get, the more money you get, and you get money for upvoting. So people who upvoted David Pakman's video would have gotten also a little bit of that money. So the key thing is that Steemit and Steem are not the same thing. Steem is money, Steem is a currency, Steemit is a platform. Now, the interesting thing about Steemit is it's kind of too good to be true. So I'm going to go through some of the characteristics of it. So firstly, it's free to upload, right? So that guy I showed you before, Pakman, he didn't pay any money to upload that video. The second thing, it's free to use. So everybody watching his video, everybody upvoting his video, everybody commenting, they didn't have to pay anything. The third thing is there are no ads on Steemit. So you won't see any ads on Steemit. And the fourth thing, which is the strangest, is that you get paid. You get paid for doing the first two things. So if you do these two things, if you upload and use the site, so you upvote and comment and whatnot, then you get paid real money. Not fake money, you get paid real money. It comes in the form of Steem, and then Steem, you can exchange that for US dollars or whatever you want to use. So it sounds like a free lunch, but as you guys know, there are no free lunches. So let's see what's actually going on here. So what's actually happening is Steem is being printed. So you want to remember Steem was like the US dollar. It was just another currency, like Bitcoin, like the Australian dollar. And what's happening is, at least initially, 9.5% extra Steem is being printed. So let's imagine that there was 1,000 total Steem, right? There's more than that, but let's imagine that there was just 1,000 total Steem. That means that 95 extra Steem will be printed in that first year. So printed right out of thin air. This 95 is going to be printed right out of thin air. Now, there's no free lunch. You haven't just created wealth by printing money. That's not how it works. What's actually happened is this 1,000 goes down in value. So that means it can buy less things. You can buy less phones, less computers, less food with that 1,000 Steem. It's worth less. But you've just added some more extra Steem. So there's a little bit of added value there. And the net effect is nothing. The net effect is that the total amount of Steem has not changed in value. But what you have done is that one Steem is now, one S is now worth less, right? So if you think about inflation, if you guys know about inflation, this is essentially inflation. So if we look at, here's a graph of the US dollar, and the American government has been essentially doing this. They've been printing money, which makes the value of the US dollar fall, and now it's a fraction of what it used to be in 1913. So this printed money, this is what powers or pays for the Steam platform, right? So Pac-Man over here, this money that he got, this was printed out of thin air. The money that everybody got on Steemit was printed right out of thin air. And a little bit, so some of the money is used for that, and then a little bit of the money is also used for processing transactions. So Steemit is a currency, and it has to process transactions to make sure they're legit, to make sure they're not fraudulent, to make sure there's not any issues. And that costs a little bit of money because people need to oversee that and manage it, essentially. So yeah, a little bit of money goes towards that, but most of the money goes to Steemit. Let's just take a bit of a closer look here at what's actually happening. So the people who own this 1000 Steem, they are the investors and traders. They are the people who actually give Steem the currency, its value, right? If we look at the graph, they've decided that Steem is worth $1 based on supply and demand and what people are willing to pay. So they have given Steem its value. Without these people, Steem is worthless. You're just printing worthless money. These are the people who are willing to pay $1 for Steem. Now, they're actually getting quite a raw deal, these investors. So if we look, the value of their asset is actually falling over time. And that value is being taxed, essentially. It's being moved over here. And then that's going to Steemit. Some of it's going to processing, a small amount. I think it's 25% of this 95. But that's essential, right? The traders can't do their trading without processing. They literally can't make transactions. But Steemit, Steemit is just a beneficiary here. These people are buying Steem. These people are giving Steem its value. And then that value is essentially being taxed and it's being given to Steemit, right? Steemit's on welfare here. They are a beneficiary of the system. And then all the traders and investors, the value of their asset is going down. So the first question we have to ask is why these people are buying Steem at all, why these investors and traders are buying Steem at all. And the second question is, why is this actually not dropping like I said it would? It's kind of dropping here, but it's not really like, it's clearly people are willing to pay quite a bit here, and then, you know, it's looking like a normal cryptocurrency. So let's address that now. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys an economic equation that's hopefully going to explain what was wrong with our analysis before. It's actually derived from a legit economic equation. This one right here, very famous one. If you guys have done economics, you know what that is, but if you don't worry. It's just a bit more complicated to explain, and it's not specific to Steem. So this is going to help people understand. But just so you guys know, I haven't made this equation up. This is derived from a legit equation. So the equation is the percentage change, this triangle means change, the percentage change in the value of Steem is going to be equal to something. So what is this? If this is positive, Steem is going up. The value of Steem is going up if this is positive. And if this is negative, the value of Steem is going down. So think about what you hear on the news, right? They might say that Bitcoin has gone up, or Steem has gone up by 50%, right? So this is a positive number. And then they might also say in the news that Bitcoin or Steem has gone down by 15%, right? So this is a negative number, right? So if Steem is going up, this is positive. If Steem is going down, this will be negative. Now, investors will want this to be positive as often as possible. Obviously, sometimes it's going to be a little bit negative, but they'd like it to keep climbing, like how Bitcoin is so far, at least, just been climbing pretty steadily. So now, what determines this? Before we assumed that it was just the percentage change in the quantity of Steem. So this is how much Steem is printed, right? And we were saying that this is 9.5% initially. And actually later on, this goes down to 0.95. This is in the very long term. I think it's after 20 years. It'll go to 0.95%. But let's just take a look at 9.5%. So we were saying that 9.5% extra Steem would be printed, and that would have a negative effect. That's why we got that minus there, right? That's why we got that minus on the value of Steem. And so the value of Steem slowly, if we think of this like a graph, it would just fall over time, like how the US dollar was falling over time. Now, we've missed something very important. There's obviously something missing here, which is the percentage change in investors or people buying Steem, right? So if like 1 million people buy Steem and they drive the price up like they drive up Bitcoin, then this isn't going to matter, is it? Right? If we think about it, this goes up by 3,000%, and we minus 9.5%. Well, what's happened to the percentage change in the value of Steem? Well, obviously, it's gone up by a heck of a lot. It's gone up by that much, right? And that's a positive number, which means Steem is really gaining in value. It's going way, 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 way up. It's going up. And that's what we might have happened here, or that's what happened here, right? Now, the reason people call this a Ponzi scheme is that can this stay at 3,000%, or can this stay at a large positive number? And if you think about it, this is the percentage change in investors. Eventually, you're going to run out of new investors. So for this to stay at 3,000%, new investors have to keep joining. New investors have to keep joining. Eventually, you're going to run out of people, right? This is not existing investors. This is new investors. Eventually, everyone in the world, right? Best case scenario, everyone in the world uses Steem. And then what? And then there's no new investors, which means the percentage change in new investors is going to be 0%. And over the long term, after 20 years, the new printed Steem will be that much. Well, now what we said would happen is going to happen, right? It's going to slowly fall over time, and eventually it will be worthless. Now, this doesn't take into account something very important, which is that incomes change over time. Incomes actually go up over time. So even though no new investors will be joining, incomes will be going up over time, which means new money is coming in. That's essentially the same as new investors, right? So even in the long term, this will be going up. Will it be going up by at least 0.95%? That's the question we want to ask, right? Because if it's going up by less, then... So if it goes up by 0.95%, this will be 0 and we're good, essentially. It's not great, right? It's still not going up, but we're good if it's going up by that. And if it's going up by more than that, say it's going up by 1.95%, then that's great. Then that means this thing is slowly appreciating by 1% and everybody's happy, and yeah. Now, how much do incomes rise? Well, we can take a look at that. Here is a graph of GDP per capita growth, right? The percentage change. So we can see up here it was about 3%. Things were growing quickly. There are a few recessions here. See, here it was negative. But most of the time, if you take a look at this graph, most of the time it's positive. There's a big recession here, but most of the time it's positive. And it's positive by more than, usually, by more than 0.95, which means we should get constant growth out, which means that Steem should constantly gain value. Even in the Ponzi scheme scenario that people make up. So I think from this, we can conclude that there is no Ponzi scheme, right? Incomes will rise, assuming that everyone joins onto Steem and it becomes the ultimate Ponzi scheme, we won't see a Ponzi scheme scenario play out. Steem just naturally, because incomes rise, Steem will naturally gain value. There is a big problem though. Like I said, Steem was running a welfare program for Steemit. Now imagine a currency called Steem 2 comes out. It's exactly the same as Steem, right? So transactions are free, all that great stuff about Steem. But instead of running a welfare program for Steemit, right, all they do is pay for processing. Because remember, that was part of this printed money as well. So let's say they only pay for processing, and that's just 1%. And over the long term, incomes rise by around this much. Let's just assume. Oh, well, what's going to happen here? It's going to be rising faster than Steem. So surely all the investors will move from Steem to Steem 1, right? Same as Steem, but there's no welfare program for Steemit. So all the investors will move here because it's gaining more value. It's almost gaining 2%, whereas this one's only gaining 1%. So is Steem just doomed to fail? That some Steem copy is going to come out and that will be it? Well, this is where the role of the community becomes really important. People will not move from Steem 1 to Steem 2, right? So Steem is, let's say over the long term, it's gaining 1%. Steem 2, over the long term, I think we said it was gaining 1.85%. So even though Steem 2 is gaining more, people won't move from Steem to Steem. Oh, sorry, we called it Steem 1, didn't we? My bad. So people won't move from Steem to Steem 1 if Steem 1 has no infrastructure. So imagine that Steem 1 is just a normal cryptocurrency, but Steem, you can use Amazon with it. You can go on eBay with it, right? You can maybe even use it at Walmart, use it at all these different stores. And with Steem 1, you can't do anything. Like you can maybe, use on bad news sites, right? On bad sites / new ones. And so the job of everybody on Steemit, Steemit is the platform. The job of everybody on Steemit is to make sure you guys get in this scenario. You need to put pressure on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, you need to get as much infrastructure as possible around Steem. Because I'm telling you, over the long term, this will happen, right? People will move to a different cryptocurrency, which is gaining more value faster and is exactly the same. So people who did like Steemit, right? Investors who like the Steem platform, they like a little bit of some inflation to pay for processing costs, and they like that it's free to send things. Well, they would like this one even more because there's no welfare program in Steem 1, right? Steemit isn't getting free money. David Pakman isn't getting free money. And so you guys need to make sure that the change from here to here is as inconvenient as possible by getting some really good infrastructure around Steem. And that is the job of the community. If you guys fail at that, I'm sorry to say, but I predict that Steem will fail. If you guys manage to get that infrastructure around here and lots of people use Steem and it's like, it becomes like a serious currency that Amazon's willing to accept, that eBay, that Walmart, that all these places willing to accept, then Steem will survive. So yeah, that is, hopefully I've addressed the Ponzi scheme, I've addressed all that stuff, and left you guys with a goal, which is everybody on Steemit, or everybody who likes Steemit, and everybody who wants to keep the system going, that's what you guys need to do. You guys need to put pressure on industries and supermarkets and whatnot to accept Steem.